What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Panthers advice today, man. I'm going over all your questions, concerns, comments, man. The first one we're going to talk about is the O-line needs a lot of work. Swear it's best we just put Dalton in so Bryce doesn't die. The O-line does need a lot of work. And the reason I say put Dalton in is because maybe you get a third or fourth round pick for him, right? People talk about the QB play isn't that good in the league. Maybe Dalton shows a couple teams a little something, get a third or fourth round pick. Let me know what you guys think. Let's jump to the next one. All right, the GM. I've never seen a general manager wrong so many times and still have a job. Draft picks, free agents, and trades are all terrible. He's not wrong because me, I like Bryce. But I still want to know what was the first thing we originally gave up for Bryce to make us go to the extreme lengths that we went to get him, right? What was the original offer before we gave him the house? Free agency, same thing. Adam Thielen made sense based on Frank's offense. But everything else, Hayden Hurst, Miles Sanders, where have they been this season? It doesn't make sense. Good comment right there by Tone Lock. Let's jump to number 3. Half the people I see complaining about Bryce was on my neck when I said CJ was a clear-cut number 1. I don't want to see people crying about it anymore. This one, I go back and forth on because people talk about the Texans last year compared to the Panthers last year. Completely different. The Texans have a different offensive coordinator. The Panthers have a different play caller, right? Frank was a play caller. Texans brought in somebody from Shanahan's offense, right? Yeah. And then we bring in somebody from McVay's offense. We don't use him. Texans have Nico, Tank, Schultz. We have who? Adam Thielen. Mingo and Bryce don't have that chemistry, which we're going to get to in a little bit. All right, guys. Question number 4. Why didn't we go get AR-15 or CJ? He's referring to Anthony Richardson. Bryce looks like he's a few seasons away from being a backup. Here's the truth. If you haven't already, go check out the film in Indy. Before you say anything, go look at the film in Indy. It's an RPO-based offense when Anthony Richardson was in. They built that offense around him for him to succeed. I can promise you right now, Anthony Richardson would not succeed in the offense we have today. Not a chance. Right? There's not a chance he would succeed in this offense. CJ, maybe, right? Anthony Richardson, no. And they already knew it was going to take a couple of years to develop Anthony Richardson. They needed a franchise quarterback. They were fine with drafting Anthony Richardson, giving him a couple of years to develop. He would not work in this offense. That's what I like about Indy, right? They built that offense to make the quarterback succeed. Something they're not doing in Carolina. Let's keep it going. All right, the next one's coming up from Ryan. I got to sit up for this. All right. I'm sorry, man, but the O-line is bad, but there are reads and passes that are awful, even with a good run game and clean pocket. Good run game. Our highest single game rusher was Hubbard with 88 against the Dolphins. Remember, we lost that game by 21. The next highest was Sanders with 72 against the Falcons week 1. Those are the two highest. Run game is non-existent. Doesn't exist. As far as a clean pocket, I mean, 1 week it's clean, the next week it's not. Nothing is consistent with this offense. Mingo and Bryce, not consistent. Bryce and his reads, not consistent. But see, it all plays a factor. Without a good run game, it creates pressure because when we go down, because we can't move the ball, which means the defense can tee off, which means the pocket's not clean, which means Bryce has to make faster reads. You see, it all goes down the ladder because this doesn't work, which means this isn't going to work, and so on and so forth. Let's keep it going. All right, our next one comes in from Barron. We need a coach, GM, lineman, and a miracle. Bryce Young is a third-round QB at best. He has missed open receivers even when not pressured. This goes back to Ryan's comment, right? He's missed those reads, not every time, but some of the time because there's so much pressure. So he's waiting on 1 or 2 guys to get open because he doesn't have time to progress to his reads. As far as linemen in the draft, could not agree with you more. And we have a new coach. We'll see what we decide to do in the future. I'm sure we're going to talk about that a lot in the offseason. Let's keep it going. All right, guys, our next one comes from Mr. Boombastic. This is all Tepper's fault, to be honest. Reich is assistant head coach and QB coach wanted CJ. Just can't get a QB, tell a coach to coach. Got to get the QB your coach wants. He's not wrong, right? And it didn't make sense from that point of view. Didn't make sense when you drafted Mingo, right? Because Mingo was not going to fit in Reich's system. It seems to me that there was either a communication problem or ego problem, right? They brought in Adam, that made sense, but then you bring in Miles Sanders when you already have Raheem and Hubbard. So none of this made sense from what, February, March to now. And now look, everything is basically going to. So let's jump to our last one. This one is from Jordan. My boy, Bobby Slowick, what we doing? This was already a topic I was actually going to cover because my next topic, or my last question, was going to be, who do you think the next head coach should be? And we're going to talk about this every week, right? For me, the two guys we're going to talk about today is one is Bobby Slowick and two is Eric Bieniemy up in Washington. You see how good Sam Howell is doing. So Eric Bieniemy, potentially a candidate depending on how everything plays out in Washington. But now let's talk about Bobby Slowick. This is where things get interesting because I don't necessarily want to give up on Thomas Brown, but Bobby Slowick is the offensive coordinator for CJ Stroud, right? D'Amico Ryan's head coach, defensive mind, right? Bobby Slowick came from Shanahan's offense. Not too shabby, right? Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, those definitely aren't the only two candidates. There's a bunch out there. We're going to talk about this every week. And obviously, a lot in the offseason, so stay tuned for that. But moving forward, if I don't comment back on your post, I'm probably going to answer it on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So just look out for that. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy.